A very good morning, Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And it's very, very important for us to take a look on what's happening in the nation of Zimbabwe without fear, without favor. We have seen the war veterans, they've come back again to talk about what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. And it seems as if the war veterans are more determined than any other person to make sure that they shame the regime in Harare. And they're doing all they can to make sure that they stop Emmerson Mnangagwa. The message is clear. Their agenda is to stop Emmerson Mnangagwa. Let us get through their press conference so as to understand what is really happening.
Not made a sponsor. I'm joined by fellow colleagues who will address you. However, since our address last week, the leadership crisis in our country has been laid bare. Things have deteriorated economically, morally, and legally. And we therefore believe it will be unjust, unfair, and irresponsible on our part to remain silent or not to act. It is important for us to chart a course of action which will redeem us a nation and restore our future. Let me, from the onset, make a few things very clear. I'm a ZANU-PF Central Committee member, a war veteran and former member of parliament. We accept this country with distinction. As I speak, I represent fellow Zimbabweans with ZANU-PF members, disgruntled but afraid to speak. And there are many of them, members of the security forces, who sacrificed their lives for Operation Restore Legacy. That years yielded nothing for their families. And I also speak for the poor and forgotten, whose dreams and hopes have been crushed by a clueless and hopeless government of corrupt and greedy individuals led by Emmerson Mnangagwa and his children. Yes, his children we have become de facto prime ministers in this country. It's not a secret. I wish to firstly apologize to all of you for being one of the people who worked hard and invested a lot of personal resources to oust the former President Robert Mugabe, the late, from power and usher in Mnangagwa into office. I am deeply sorry, and with hindsight now, I regret this. We replaced Mugabe with a minister, a Korokoza. It is us who gave you Mnangagwa. We put you in State House with the hope that you would reset our country on a path of recovery, respect the Constitution, and give our people hope. As soon as he had the taste of power, he escalated corruption, forgot the people, and remembered only his family. Mnangagwa has also surrendered state power to his wife and children. We are sadly seeing history repeating itself. We can't allow that to happen. Why now, some people would ask? Why not now? We as war veterans are trained, disciplined soldiers. Even when we are unhappy, we are not quick to take action. We follow the line of command. We engage with the hope of solving matters without bringing shame to our leaders. I assure you, we have tried this, but we have come to a conclusion that it's not possible to bring desired change from within a ZANU-PF, which has lost all values and principles, is encompassed by our wartime mantra, Gutsa Rushinji. Not Gutsa Mnangagwa, Nembava Zake. Many in ZANU-PF today are chancers, looters, and with no moral canvas or compassion. Ask yourself honestly today, who owns the most money in the country? Who has the biggest houses today? Who has the top jobs? Who are our ministers today? Imbaba idzodzi. Kovedu vana vaishaitawo chii. We fought for a Zimbabwe where everyone would have a seat on the table. Not for these chiefs we now call Mbinga or Gananda. Men died as we fought the former colonial oppressors. Our people died. Our colleagues died and lie in unmarked graves. All these were dead in hope for a prosperous Zimbabwe. That dream the head has been lost because of a few thieves clothing themselves with borrowed robes of power. We the people of Zimbabwe are the owners of those robes, and we are here to take them back. This past week, one of the West finance ministers, a Laos beggar of note, Mutulu, announced silly measures which he said were aimed to bring formalization of the economy. One of his ideas was to give vendors POS machines on the roadside. The other was to cut supplies to vendors from manufacturers. These measures have nothing to do with fixing the economy, but at enriching Mnangagwa and his thieves. As we speak, one of the crooks already is a tender to supply the POS machines. Another will be the middleman. He has already taken clearance and will be buying from the manufacturers, then inflate the prices before selling to vendors. These measures will do nothing but make life harder for the ordinary Zimbabweans. It looks like ED has established a ministry of pain and suffering for the majority in his office. Vanhu vakavhoterwa shuwa havarari vachifunga kuti toita sei kuti tiomesere masi, because there are no jobs. People are working as vendors to feed their families. Mutuli, who through his failed Barbican bank, is back again to make us suffer. No. This cannot be allowed to happen. Civil servants are now civil slaves, working for peanuts, day in and day out. What kind of reward system do we have that does not recognize skill, education, and work delivery? Everyone in government except my chef earns $200. What kind of witchcraft is that? In all this madness, the son of Mnangagwa, a mere soldier, drives to work in a Rolls Royce. How does this make other soldiers feel? Even the army generals, a dedicated man in uniform, can't afford that car. Where is that money coming from? It's being looted from our national coffers, resource bank. Mnangagwa must stop behaving like a kindergarten in a kiddie store. We invite him to take stock of his mental faculties and that of his ministers before it's too late. Imagine, how do you keep a minister in office after she openly insults your vice president? Tatenda Mavetera, whose only qualification to that job is not having any qualification, is the audacity to call General Chiwenga a decorated war hero, Mpanuki, right? And an acting president in that matter. We are in shock that this can happen. We have Daniel Garwe, a person who is on mental health medication, a former salute scout in the Rhodesian army, who shot at us. We fought to liberate us from colonial rule, but now a minister. And once again, fighting from the wrong side of history. Let me make it clear, we as war veterans in the general public of Zimbabwe, our people, we have the right to remove Mnangagwa from office because it is us who took him to State House. Who does not know that Mnangagwa fled this country with just his son and his cousin? Tonzwa vanhu vachiimba vachiti garwe raiombera richitukwa chichi muchiimba rikapedza rarava muofisi. Imbai muchiti garwe raiombera rikapedza raratiza. Tisu takaridzosa. Asikazi kuti angatiza ndiani. Where were you, Garwe, when the man you seek to defend was border jumping? Were you not at ZANU-PF headquarters singing and dancing while he was being insulted? Now you want to behave as a brave man, calling us Isu, Takaduranyita Ino, Anaboki. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Inwa mapirisa ako ekupenga wakanyarara. Kana wasisina mapirisa ako ekupenga. Kumbira una Mnangagwa akutengere. Pengera kwa wakaroiwa. Said Mnangagwa, you allow this nonsense to happen. You allow Mavetera to insult an acting president at national events, insulting a general. How dare? This shows that Mnangagwa, you are behind these disrespectful acts. It's clear you are on a frolic of your own. You are going there while living our values and ethos. Zimbabweans, it's within our power to stop this nonsense. Mnangagwa has gone wrong, and go he must. We invited him to go peacefully, but instead, he is digging in and continues to push the unconstitutional agenda of 2030. The only 2030 you will see is 8:30 on the clock. Just yesterday, we saw images of drunk youths, some of them who failed to attend a decent education because of poor governance under Mnangagwa, singing and toy-toying to 2030 slogans. They were led by one disgraced lawyer, Goodwill Masimurembwa, a non-land baron. Masimurembwa, toda kuziva kuti wakadzingwa ne-law society, wakadzingirwa chii? Corruption. Your practicing license was cancelled because waidya mari the trust account, the clients. And you have no room in ZANU-PF. Yatinoziva is not any chitsotsi. Just look at the time when Mnangagwa keeps. Surely it reflects on the man. He is. Once we free Zimbabwe, we will ensure these kids have access to education and good jobs so that they can afford themselves and their children a better future. Poverty delays democracy. It's time we eradicate it. Some have insisted that we have masters. Bullshit. The insinuation is that we have been sent by Vice President Chiwenga to do this. Nothing can be further from the truth. The fact that we stand for war against corruption, nepotism, and misgovernance. For your information, I don't know when I last met General Chiwenga, I don't have even his contact numbers, right? Saka I'm not forgotten. Atifungi. You think more veterans are fungi no tunga, right? No, I'm not having to go to an opposition. Ye murutumana British, murutumana Americans. Saka, you think Zimbabweans can't think? Ngazi Perezos. We have been sent by the same people who sent us to the liberation struggle in the 70s, our Povo. We speak for them once again, and possibly the last time. We are ashamed that our people can begin to say 45 years after independence that Smith was better. We can't allow a few people to rubbish our contribution to the freedom of this country as they behave like the minister were removed from power. We can't allow black-skinned colonial masters to ruin the future of the majority. This is why the number of people who are joining our cause is growing by the day. We have the backing of the majority of Zimbabweans, excluding Matsotsi. Those in the diaspora are with us. We know the diasporians, you love your country. You want to come back and contribute to your country's future. We will redeem ourselves before we die. We will free this country once again so that you can stop being economic slaves in lands that don't treat you well. We want to build a country where everyone matters, where our resources benefit not the few but the majority. A nation where the name means everyone, not just a few corrupt individuals. To all those who think we are afraid, those who think they can silence us, please read my lips in case you miss my words. Look at my face. Do you see any fear? Do you think you can scare us? Bullshit. Some have been holding meetings to inject us from ZANU-PF. You think you can fire us from our party, which we brought with our own blood? Where were you? You were busy scouting, right? Killing our comrades, killing our masses, right? This ZANU-PF is ours. It is you who will be leaving the party in the next few weeks. Mark my words. Watch this space. I want to tell you this, here and now. We don't care. We are ready to face you head on. What we want to build is a nation where our entrepreneurs like Wanasira Masiwa and others feel free and happy to be home. A nation where political players are not exiled and not being rendered stateless by individuals. We have captured the justice system for their own ends. We want a judicial system that is not held hostage but serves as the defender of the poor and weak against a predatory state. Everyone, Zimbabwe, is needed to build this nation. Only a united people can restore this Zimbabwe. The power is ours. My last statement is to say, Mnangagwa, you have failed this nation. You have failed us. And you have succeeded to put your family on the fore as one of the worst, the most hated in the history of the world. You can redeem yourself by doing the right thing. Step down. Free this country from incompetence. Your lack of probity has preceded you. Ndiri kutaurira comrade. Imwimwi vana vake nemudzimai taurirai baba kuti zvakwana. Nyika haina kumira mushe. Musafurirana zvenhema muchifurirwa namatsotsa. Zimbabwe is just time for action. Let's act now. We are the new 2030. I thank you.
So this is what the war veterans have said, and we need to take this seriously because things are not well in Zimbabwe. We know that these comrades, they are not joking, they are serious. Vanagarwe pavakabuda vachiita zvavaiita, they've been responded to, which means we are now getting into the phase of action. It's either the faction of Emerson will act first and the war veterans and their backers will act second. What these war veterans are saying, they have a strong backing of very powerful people. But let us take a look on key issues. Number one, the war veterans Geza apologized to the people of Zimbabwe. That is the first step he made. He apologized to the people of Zimbabwe. He took responsibility of bringing Mnangagwa into power. Mnangagwa anga atozvitizira va South Africa, and for sure and for real the comrades made a mistake to bring that man back. Then he called him a monster and a korokoza. That is a very, very strong message which has been sent, and there are no jokes right there, because whatever these war veterans are doing, the whole world is watching and there are consequences. In the UK, United Kingdom Parliament or whatever, the British Parliament, this matter is likely going to be discussed. It is being discussed in high places in different countries. They are discussing the security situation here in Zimbabwe. I can tell you, countries like here in SADC, like for example, South Africa, for example, Botswana, they're actually discussing what is happening in Zimbabwe at this point in time, which means Emerson is on spotlight right now. That is the reason why you have seen other countries are not interested in coming to the SADC summit, whatever, to deal with whatever which is happening in DRC without dealing with the problem in Zimbabwe. The question is, who is going to help Mnangagwa when things turn wrong for him, when things get tough for him? Who is going to come for him? So one of the key issues is that they've said Mnangagwa is now in charge of this economy, in charge of this country. The sons of Emerson, they've taken over, they are in charge. There are allegations of corruption, allegations of looting of gold and everything else. They've even charged the monetary policy introduced by Mtole Ncube as anti-people. And that is very, very important and very, very critical, which means there is a confirmation of state capture. There is a confirmation of deliberate punishment of the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe, especially the people in the urban areas who are perceived as the supporters of Nelson Chamisa. Mnangagwa is punishing them. The civil servants who are accused of voting for Nelson Chamisa, Mnangagwa is punishing them. And since 2019, we have seen the punishment being meted against the civil servants, and it continues like that. That is the reason why you have seen that civil servants are the lowest paid in this SADC region. Zimbabwe civil servants are the lowest paid. Then they said something very, very important. They said Mnangagwa anakuvoterwa. Dai Mnangagwa akavoterwa, he couldn't be failing to control the economy. Kana wakavoterwa nevanhu hautambudzike kugadzira economy. So that is an acknowledgement iri kupiwa nema comrades about the 2023 elections, which means we are going to have more drama in the nation of Zimbabwe, and we are going to have more bases for the removal of Mnangagwa being put on the 2023 elections. So they've declared war on Mnangagwa. They've said it's either Mnangagwa resigns or they are going to remove him, and they said it's coming in weeks, which means this is a coup. A coup is coming. There is no any other way to explain this. 2017 is coming back, but this time the only difference is that Emerson will not go just like that. He will resist because he's putting in place things which are critical to make sure that he defends himself. Another very important issue is that listen to what Nyoka Mabune has been saying. Listen to what Blessing Geza has said. There is a link, which means these people are working together. It's the same group. They are the same people working together to try and make sure that they defend their own interests. The biggest problem is that we do not know as of yet if there is consensus within the leadership of the opposition and the leadership of the other faction. If there is consensus, we will not see problems because the message will be the same. But if there is no consensus, then you will see the opposition not sending people into the streets. And that will be disastrous for the team which is there. So, and also remember, kuti kune issues are critical right now. There are incidents which happened in this past week where somehow some big names were mentioned the same way they've been mentioned in the past. They've been mentioned somehow, which is a very, very important message to the regime which is there. So this issue, I'm telling you, we are coming back to 2017. There is no way they are going to escape this. But here's my view. If the comrades fail to involve the opposition or the alternative will watch and see. They are going to clash, they are going to take each other out, and at a certain point in time, there are invitations which are going to be made by the people who would want to save themselves. And that is what is going to be. So at this point in time, it's very, very interesting. National Transitional Authority, if Tim Chiwenga fails to work on a National Transitional Authority, then just know that Tim Chiwenga is out. Just know that vese vanenge vaenda the same way na Emerson. So whether Chiwenga stands with Mnangagwa or not, the issue is now out of Chiwenga's hands, is now out of Mnangagwa's hands. The issue has been hijacked by a fresh group of people who are now pursuing their own interests. And it's up to them to be part and parcel of the people or to be selfish and face the consequences, because being selfish is going to have serious consequences. There is nothing you will do without Nelson Chamisa. One way or the other, you will need Chamisa onto the table because ndiye akabata maki enyika ye Zimbabwe. So it's very, very interesting, guys, to see that this is what is happening. And let me see if there are any comments to respond before we end this program. Okay, Rumbidzai says, Makazvirera kare zvinhu izvi varume. Yes, they allowed it to happen. It's now haunting them, and they're trying by all means possible to protect their own interests, specifically by bringing one of their own, but it won't happen. Chinhu chingatoitika muZimbabwe, it's either NTA comes or Nelson Chamisa takes over and his friends and affiliates. Those are the two possibilities right now. Dalubusha, thank you very much for coming. Says pedzerana ikoko isu tiri kujozi. Okay, zvanzigadzirisai zvinhu zvamakarera for long time. Toda kungonzwa kuti abva chete. This is so cool. Okay, General Tombwe Okay, I have missed this comment. Okay, Anzi makarasiswa nizamo mkanwa vakuru look boterekwa destroyed makangotarisa. Yes. Okay. General Tom, I've lost your comment, but it's here, but I can't read them. I'm not so sure what is happening with my system right here. Okay. So it's very, very interesting to see what is happening. Anzi kusha shoko kuti wapiwa 8:30 usiku kwaye ndo yavachavona 20. Yes, that is true, my brother. 2030 iriko, it's 8:30, and it's something which is very, very important, which these people need to know. That is a direct declaration. Mnangagwa is simply joking. So guys, I'm out of time. I would have wanted to stick around so that we talk more, but let me tell you one thing. The majority of the people who are in the civil service, both in the security sector, judiciary, and the civil service at large, they no longer want the nonsense which is happening. There is no way these people are going to continue with 2030. They rigged elections. They are not legally in power, which means they will be removed by any means possible, and we will be watching to see what is going to happen. Change is coming to the nation of Zimbabwe. 2025 is our year. Whether we are alive, whether we are dead, change will come to the nation of Zimbabwe. So our advice is Mnangagwa should simply step down, allow NTA to take over and save himself. Otherwise, he's going to face the consequences. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and thank you very much for being here. Let us meet in other episodes and other broadcasts.